Okay, so what if I told you the secret to a happier life isn't about caring more, but actually caring less? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a pretty powerful idea that honestly, it challenges just about everything you thought you knew about self-help and success. You know the drill, right? We're constantly told to care more, try harder, be engaged with everything. But what if all that pressure is the very thing that's making us miserable? What if the real key to a better life isn't about adding more to our plate, but actually taking things off? I mean, just think about the advice that's thrown at us every single day. It's this nonstop flood of think positive, stay motivated, and this pressure to care deeply about every little thing. It's like this has become the default, unquestioned formula for what a good life is supposed to look like. But here's the thing. Following that advice, well, it can lead us straight into something called the positivity trap. So much of modern self-help culture makes this really seductive promise, doesn't it? It tells us that happiness is a life without problems, without struggle, without pain. But the problem with that is it sets this totally unrealistic expectation. And ironically, when life does what life does, gets difficult, we end up feeling even worse. So, if that's the trap, what's the way out? Let's get into a really counterintuitive idea that just completely flips that whole script on its head. And this shift in thinking is, well, it's huge. The old way tells us to chase this feeling of constant happiness, to care about literally everything, and to avoid pain no matter what. But this new way? It's a radical alternative. It's about choosing your struggles, being super selective about what gets your energy, and just accepting that difficulty is part of the deal. The whole idea is really captured perfectly in this quote from Mark Manson. And look, the language is strong for sure, but it's for a reason. This isn't about being apathetic or just not caring about anything. It's actually about a radical kind of prioritization. It's about being incredibly deliberate with our most valuable resource, our attention. Okay, I know, it's a provocative idea, right? And you're probably wondering, but why does this actually work? So let's break down the logic behind it. First things first, let's get crystal clear on what this subtle art really means. It is not an excuse to be a jerk or to be careless. In fact, it's the total opposite. It's about deeply understanding that your resources, your time, your energy, your emotional capacity, they're limited. They're not infinite. So you have to be super intentional about where you spend them. And at the absolute core of this whole philosophy is a simple, fundamental truth. Suffering, pain, problems, they're features of life, not bugs. Trying to avoid them isn't just impossible, it actually backfires. That very act of trying to dodge the unavoidable creates its own kind of suffering, this constant anxiety of running from something you can't escape. Okay, so that's the why. But how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? This is where we get into the nuts and bolts of selective priority. It really boils down to 3 key steps. First, you have to genuinely accept that you just can't do it all. You can't care about everything. Second, you've got to get brutally honest with yourself about what you truly value. Is it your family, your creative work, your health? And third, you have to take responsibility for those choices. And that means having the guts to say no to the stuff that doesn't make the cut. And this is where a huge paradox comes into play. Think about it. When our energy is spread super thin across 1,000 little things, an annoying comment online, that rude person on the train, some minor inconvenience, we're left with basically nothing in the tank for the things that actually matter. Our caring just becomes shallow and, frankly, pretty useless. Now, when you really start to practice this kind of selective priority, the impact is way bigger than just cleaning up your to-do list. It fundamentally changes how you see, well, everything. We're not talking about a tiny tweak here. This is a complete overhaul. It changes how you see success. It's not about having 0 problems anymore. It changes how you see failure. Suddenly, it's just feedback, not the end of the world. It makes your relationships better because you're actually investing in the ones that count. And maybe most importantly, it changes the way you see yourself. And this all leads us to the big takeaway, the real heart of it all. True, meaningful happiness. It's not found by escaping to some fantasy land where problems don't exist. It's found in the process of actively solving the problems you have chosen to care about. It's that deep, satisfying feeling you get from a struggle that actually means something to you. So this whole philosophy really leaves us with one powerful question to ask ourselves. It's not about what do I want to enjoy, but what struggle am I willing to endure? So as you go about your day, think about your own life and ask yourself, What truly deserves your limited, precious attention?